Naruto's path to power, perfect Jinchuriki and unstoppable rise against Konoha's root. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 61. A terrifying hurricane swept through the forest in an instant. Although it was only a temporary pseudo-6 level attack, it was definitely not something that this heavenly Dao Pain could resist. Shinra heavenly sign. Pain roared and wanted to confront the silver wheel reincarnation explosion. In the next second, the repulsive shield shattered instantly, and Pain's entire face was shattered by the blowing painting wind, twisted and flew out. Impossible! An angry roar spread through the forest. By the time the attack stopped, heavenly Dao Pain's body had already broken bones. The whole person collapsed on the ground like a broken doll. Naruto hurriedly removed the reincarnation eye chakra mode. Although this thing is easy to use, it is indeed a big blue consumer. After all, it is strange to forcibly exert a pseudo-6 level attack with shadow level strength, and it does not consume blue. It's still poor blue. Naruto sighed as he flew. After all, his age is still too young, and a 300-calorie chakra seems like a lot. In the face of the late stage of skill, it is undoubtedly not enough to put a skill like a blind chicken like money. Since having the reincarnation eye, Naruto was able to manipulate gravity to fly like Pain did. As soon as the reincarnation eye chakra mode is opened, the volley is better like instinct. He flew in front of the already paralyzed heavenly Dao Pain. How? I'm strong enough to join the Shao organization, right? Pain looked at Naruto with fiery eyes and said, "This is the strength of the human pillar force? If everyone has such strong strength, then how strong can the ultimate ninjutsu developed by him gathering the nine-tailed beasts be?" Thinking of this, Pain was not only not disappointed, but also excited. He had already made up his mind that after the Shao organization developed and grew, he would definitely bring all the people and horses to take down the nine tails. As for the immediate failure, it's just a puppet body. If it weren't for Hanzo's crippled foot, he wouldn't have used the Eye of Reincarnation in this remote control way. When you are ready, you will definitely be able to take down the pillar power of the person in front of you. Naruto touched his chin. Is the strength of human pillar power? It's not bad. At most there is a difference of 100 million points between the human pillar forces. Naruto leaned down and saw the ring on Pain's finger light up. I'm welcome. I accept this ring. Whoever bullies you to report my name in the future, I will be the person of the Shao organization in the future. After Naruto finished speaking, he directly gave the ring representing 0 from the destroyed Pain's finger. Pain, who was suddenly attacked, looked confused. Groove, Nima. That's Lao Tzu's ring representing Nanhua Bei. Who is the boss of the Shao organization when you leave, bastard? He hurriedly summoned the Hell Dao to repair his body, but he found that the original Naruto had long disappeared. Pain. He turned his head to look at Kakuto, whose 4 hearts had been destroyed in the aftermath. Suddenly I felt that what kind of thing I was recruiting. I couldn't even bear the aftermath of the battle, and I couldn't take the people I was looking for. But it is always my purpose this time. Pain stood intact in front of Kakuto and said in disgust, "Give an answer, surrender, or die." Looking at Pain, who had been completely repaired, Kakuto looked shocked. He had witnessed the strength of the attack just now. He couldn't bear the aftermath alone, and his heart barely survived the loss of time. Now Pain is actually intact. Could it be that he was just hiding his strength to test that person's pillar power just now? Definitely so. Otherwise, how could it have been possible to go through such a fierce battle unscathed? Moreover, the original purpose of Rensley was to join the Shao organization. Originally, I should have fought with this BT, but now I have fought for myself. If he had made his own move just now, wouldn't he have been killed by this BT? Kakuto had palpitations for a while. He said to Pain with a hard mouth, "Humph, it seems that there are many opportunities for organizations with characters like you to compete against famous bounty targets, Shao. Is it? It seems that it is still an organization with unexpected gold mining potential, so I will join it." Where is Pain, who has just been beaten on the side, in the mood to be polite with this dead duck's tough mouth? He threw a ring directly and said, "I will contact you through this ring in the future." After saying that, Pain turned straight away. On the other side, Naruto joyfully held the 0 ring snatched from Pain. That's a good thing. I was worried that I couldn't find the organization, but I didn't expect that the Mandate of Heaven incident was directly sent to the door. After all, they are all a group of S-class rebels. The kung fu of escape flew away, and if it were not for the inside information, not even Konoha's intelligence network could find it. Even Ji Lai needed to catch his life to barely figure out that Lu Dao Pain was a puppet. The rest of the people are even more divine dragons without seeing the end. If Naruto wanted them to be his sandbags for a long time. Well, experience, baby. That must go deep into the enemy position, and the child can't bear the wolf. Then Naruto looked at the previous system prompt. Congratulations to the host for successfully defeating the Shadow level puppet 6 Dao Pain and obtaining 50,000 destiny points. Episode 62. Host, Naruto Uzumaki. Position, none. Talent, swirling bloodline, chakra precise control, frozen fruit, perfect. Special abilities: Nine-tailed chakra, Azura chakra, activated, Wave Feng Shui Gate chakra, Uzumaki Jyo Shurnai chakra, Bagua seal, Reincarnation eye. Skills: Spiral pill series, multiple shadow doppelganger art, 8 doors dun jia, 3 body art, shuriken art, would escape secret art, Azura immortal art. Items: Chakra multiplier card, slashing knife, slashing moon. Protagonist halo, full level, current stage. Combat effectiveness, 421. Destiny value, 630,000. Looking at the extra 60,000 heavenly destiny values, Naruto's heart blossomed. In addition to the daily destiny value of 10,000, there are 60,000 more at once. Naruto was extremely glad that he had crossed over to the protagonist at this time. Or simply rely on your own protagonist's luck to upgrade the protagonist's aura. The devil knows when there will be a guaranteed destiny value of 10,000 per day. You know, even if a shadow level powerhouse beats once, it only gives 10,000 to 100,000. If you have slaughtered the ninja world, it is not certain that there is 100 million. If he hadn't become Naruto himself, I'm afraid that by now there is 100,000 heavenly destiny value is already outrageous. By the beginning of the plot, it is estimated that it is the strength of a superior ninja. After all, without Naruto's natural plugins and protagonist aura, he can only brush the little fart of the ninja school for a living. As far as they are concerned, they only give 1,800 destiny points, and they may not be able to make up a B-level lottery until they graduate. Now he can not only receive 10,000 heavenly destiny values every day, but also be able to brush the shadow-level powerhouse as an experience monster, and his strength is naturally comfortable. Immediately, he recovered the consumed chakra a little on the way. The cost of turning on the 6 modes is outrageous. Just using the Dao Jade to put a silver wheel rebirth explosion, they almost drained themselves. Know that you can now already have 300 calories of chakra. He was now extremely sure that Naruto plus the 9-tailed chakra in the 4 battles was probably more than Wenka. Otherwise, you definitely can't afford the consumption of the 6-channel chakra mode. By the time Naruto finished refining chakra, it was already evening. He continued to rush towards Chaoin village without stopping. By the time he sneaked into Chaoin village, it was already evening. He searched using Kagura's heart eye. Suddenly, a particularly large chakra regiment was found in a tall building. Naruto fixed his eyes. On the tall building, it is written Kusanagi Hospital. His face changed. Not good. It's late. Ignoring his hidden figure, Naruto directly got up and rushed towards the hospital from the sky. For a while, the enchantment class of Chaoin village was shocked. Enemy attack. Enemy attack. Suspected ninja invasion from the sky by Iwahide village. And at this time in Chaoin village hospital, the worn-out incense burner was pulled like a beggar by a Kusanagi shinobu. Due to the sudden outbreak of strong fighting in the forest, the ninjas in ambush on our side suffered heavy casualties. Now there are countless wounded in the village, and your mother alone is simply not enough. Xiangxi looked at Shangren with a scared expression. She suddenly saw a body covered with a white cloth in a morgue. The scarlet hair and familiar clothes made Xiangli break free of the strength that came from nowhere, and ran straight to the room. When she came to her mother's body, arms full of tooth marks were pulled down from the morgue, and none of her bare skin was intact at all. In order to keep her daughter alive, the mother of this poor Whirlpool clan was directly bitten to death by the group of animals in Chaoin village. Xiangyu took 2 steps back with a look of horror. She couldn't hold on any longer, covered her mouth and vomited madly. Kusanagi Shinobu stood expressionlessly behind him and pulled it up. Let go of me. Mom. Mom, Shangnin of Kusanagi village sneered. There is only one way to protect the village, and it's a pity to lose your mother, but there are still many wounded waiting to be treated. He dragged the incense to an intensive care unit. All kinds of wounded with missing arms and legs are wailing wildly. Too slow. What about the woman? A man in medical overalls shouted in dissatisfaction. Kusanagi Shinobu said coldly without the slightest sympathy. Dead, this guy will replace her from now on. Xiangxia looked at Kusanagi in horror and lost his voice. The medical staff frowned. Such a little girl? Can it work? Kusanagi said expressionlessly. This is the daughter of that woman, with the same ability. Xiangli was so frightened that she pulled her legs and ran, but when she was young, she was directly grabbed by Kusanagi and handed to the medical staff. Don't. Let me go. Don't. Chaoin looked at Xiangli who was walking into hell step by step and sneered. We took in you who are homeless, and the rations are always earned by yourself, right? A ninja with a broken arm screamed and wailed. It hurts. It hurts. The medical staff did not hesitate to pass the young arm of the incense burner. It doesn't matter. It will be good right away. Come and bite. Without hesitation, the subordinate bit down on Xiangli's tender arm. Xiangli recalled her mother's miserable body in her mind, leaving tears in despair. Please, don't do this. Who will save me? Over here. It's hell. Episode 63. Next is the paid content. Minors are prohibited from watching. Rumble. There was a loud noise, and the walls of the hospital were directly blown apart from the outside. An ice pick flew out of the smoke and disappeared straight into the paramedic's heart. And Xiangli also broke free from the restraints of the corpse and fell to the ground. Kusanagi Shinobu looked at the figure slowly walking out of the smoke with a shocked expression. This is the base camp of Kusanagi village. Who dares to be such an upright ninja village? Even if it is not the 5 major villages, his own village is famous in the ninja world. Even S-class rebels did not dare to rashly attack a ninja village. However, Naruto, who had a dark face, walked out of the smoke, and even though he had watched the anime, he couldn't help but be angry when he saw this horrific scene in front of him. This is no longer worthy of being called a person. For the so-called adoption, it is necessary to be sucked dry alive? The tooth marks on Naruto looked at him shockingly. He had never felt such anger. This was his conscience as a human inheritance of 5,000 years of culture in his previous life. Especially when he saw that this group of beasts did not even spare a 6-year-old girl. At that time, the anger in Naruto's heart was completely ignited. Good. Very good. Naruto's voice, as if from hell, slowly spat out with the cold breath of the frozen fruit. It's painful, isn't it? Since it is very painful, then I will help you end the pain. Kusanagi couldn't help but snort. Who the hell are you? Dare to attack our Choin village? Wind escape, wind cut. A chopping wave blew out of Kami Shinobu's mouth and slashed directly towards Naruto. And Naruto didn't even look at it, and casually pulled out the slashing moon to cut off the wind blade. He walked straight to Xiangli's side and sighed. Sorry, I'm late. Next, close your eyes. The following is paid content. Minors are prohibited from watching. Xiangyu looked at Naruto at this time as if she was looking at a god, and she obediently closed her eyes and silently froze in place. Naruto separated a shadow avatar and pulled Xiangzin aside, while the body Naruto looked at the group of beasts expressionlessly and muttered, "You guys are great. Success made me feel what is called shock, and also made me experience real anger for the first time since coming to this world. Even when I faced the rejection of that group of waste villagers, I was never angry. I originally thought I was a person who did not care about myself. But I found that I am still alone after all. Unlike you beasts, conscience is something engraved in our bones. Even if you say it, but when it's really time to make a move, 613 will still be angry." Kusanagi on the opposite side looked at Naruto, who was nagging the gods, and frowned. What the hell are you? Their mother and daughter are voluntary. Our village has given them shelter. If it weren't for our village, they would have been arrested by the big villages to be used as experimental subjects. They're a whirlpool. When Naruto heard Kusanagi's words, the anger in his heart suddenly rose to another level, and he slowly clenched the slashing moon in his hand with an angry smile. Voluntary? Now I declare that one of your Kusanagi village can leave here alive, of course, only one. Now ask the rest of you to die voluntarily. All soldiers. The other Kaminobu who had been notified also rushed from all directions, and the bald Kaminobu slowly breathed a sigh of relief. Naruto's sense of oppression felt extremely terrifying even for him. At this time, support had arrived, and he shouted arrogantly at Naruto, "Ha ha ha. What a thing you are. Dare to threaten our Kusanagi village too. Although I don't know which village sent a ninja from you, this time we will definitely make you live and die." Naruto looked at the ignorant Kami Shinobu with an expressionless face, and he slowly raised Satsuki and said coldly, "This time, I will let your souls fly." Apocalypse. Heaven lock cut the moon. The terrifying chakra was transformed from Naruto's body into spiritual pressure and burst out, and the machete-like slashing moon quickly shrank into a slender black tang knife and became thin and light. The black death boss suit slowly covered Naruto's body like black flames. Kusanagi Shinobu felt the huge chakra's face change drastically. Attack. Attack together. Tutu and rock iron cannon. Wind escape, wind cut. Firebomb. Water horn technique. Thunder and go. All kinds of ninjutsu rushed towards Naruto, and Naruto, who was located in the center, did not panic in the slightest, and looked at these ninjutsu indifferently and was unmoved. With a bang, a violent explosion exploded in the hospital. Kusanagi looked excitedly at the black shadow that disappeared in the smoke and asked, "Is it successful?" However, many Kusanagi who came to support looked at him with a look of horror. Kusanagi looked at them with a strange look. "What's wrong with you guys?" Naruto's indifferent voice came from behind him and said faintly, "Because you're dead." Kusanagi was furious. "You talk nonsense." As soon as he turned his head fell directly from his neck, and he looked at his headless corpse with a dazed face. Whose body was that? How is it so familiar? The next moment, his eyes were dark and he was no longer conscious. However, this was not the end. Naruto held the slashing knife and sneered as he looked at the rest of Kusanagi with a cruelty on his face. "Show you something good." The huge chakra once again transformed into spiritual pressure and swept the audience, and the soul of the originally dead Kusanagi appeared strangely in front of the many Kusanagi present. Impossible. This is Captain Genji. Genji, who was originally floating in the air, looked shocked as he regained consciousness and was firmly nailed in mid-air. Naruto pointed the slashing moon at the soul in the air and smiled cruelly. You are also worthy to go to the Pure Land? Die. A black slash slashed through Gengmu's body, and his soul screamed and turned directly into a little starlight in mid-air. Out of one's wits, Naruto didn't even give this group of beasts a chance to reincarnate. Everyone looked at Naruto with a look of horror. What humans fear is always unknown mystery. They are not afraid of death when they are cultivated, but this way of dying and being cut off after death is too frightening. In the past, it was 100 after death, but now it is not even the chance to have a fetus. This made the ninjas, who were not afraid of death, begin to feel extremely fearful. Scared now? Naruto looked at this group of fearful ninjas and smiled. It's late, remember to fear life in the next life. Oh no, you don't have the next life anymore. Heavenly dance. Naruto shouted, and the whole person directly turned into a black Shinigami under the blessing of the heavenly lock and the moon-splitting moon, constantly moving through the crowd, and no ninja could make the slightest resistance in the past. The so-called Kusanagi shinobu who were still alive were all frightened by this terrifying scene, and they all shouted in horror and fled in all directions. But at this time, Naruto, how could they let them escape? Using the super high-speed movement of the slashing knife, and instantly appeared in countless phantoms chasing towards the ninja fleeing in all directions. Surround the net. Originally, he used the afterimage left by the ultra-high-speed movement to mislead the enemy into attacking, and took the opportunity to attack the enemy's dead end. But at this time, it was directly used by Naruto to pursue the enemy. In just a moment, it seemed that countless Naruto appeared at the same time, and the speed was no less than the instantaneous technique known as instantaneous water stopping. In an instant, all the upper shinobi of the entire hospital were killed, and their souls were directly shattered by Naruto's slashing knife. When the grass shadow arrived with a group of dark parts, there was only a pile of broken corpses left on the scene, and incense burners that closed their eyes and did not dare to open. Standing in a pool of blood like a god of death, Naruto said condescendingly to Kusanagi, I said, only one person can leave here tonight. Kusanagi looked at Naruto with a shocked look and roared, where the hell did our shinobi village offend your excellency? Could it be that you were sent by Taki shinobi village? And Naruto looked at Kusanagi coldly and smiled. He pointed to the incense and said, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, her name is Uzumaki Incense, and I still need to ask to continue to say that Kusanagi trembled when he heard this. A descendant of the Vortex clan. He took in the descendants of the Vortex clan, but he didn't wait for the trouble of the 5 great ninja villages, but he suffered the revenge of the Vortex clan. At this time, Kusanagi's heart was full of remorse, and he said to Naruto with a smile on his face, look, our Kusanagi village has died so much, and that little girl has not been injured, can you already be dissipated? However, Naruto looked at Kusanagi like a dead man, he waved his hand, and the body of a woman in the lower level of the hospital was pulled up by him with gravity. The shocking bite marks on his body made Kusanagi's face change greatly. Do it, Ice Age. Ice Age. Naruto sneered and pointed the slashing knife on the floor, and the terrifying cold aura centered on Naruto instantly swept the entire Kusanagi village. This is an Ice Age that is 100 times more powerful than when Naruto threatened Konoha F4 in Konoha. In just a moment, this grass shadow who only had the strength of elite upper ninja, as well as a group of middle ninja level dark parts and the entire grass hidden village were all buried by terrifying ice. The entire Kusanagi village directly turned into an entire ice sculpture. The horror on people's faces has been vividly preserved. Naruto looked at Kusanagi's soul and said lightly, people have a bottom line. Immediately, a black crescent moon sky rush instantly slashed through the void of the entire grass ninja village. All the souls that ascended into the sky were instantly destroyed by the spirit pressure. Episode 63. To Naruto who hates iron but not steel. The first to discover the destruction of Kusanagi village was none other than the enemy village they are now fighting in. When they waited for several days without seeing Kusanagi's support, they sent a small team to inquire about the news. As a result, the scene in front of them was extremely shocking. The entire Kusanagi village has turned into an iceberg. The entire village is frozen in it. Originally in the summer, heavy snow continues to fall from the sky above Kusanagi village, and the climate of the entire Kusanagi village has been changed by frozen fruits. The top to bottom in the Kusanagi village was undoubtedly spared, and all were frozen in the iceberg. Although it is only a small village, it can be regarded as a second-tier force in the ninja world. It is much stronger than those who don't even have a ninja village, and the likes of Tanakuni, Wave Country. Now that it had been destroyed overnight, the news quickly spread among the ninja world. Tuan Zhang held the intelligence with a solemn face, and the 8 flying sun on the opposite side chopped the cigarette bag in his mouth over and over again. What can't be wrong, it was Naruto who did it, it's the power of the ice escape blood succession limit. I didn't expect that what that guy said turned out to be true. I'm afraid he can really pull the entire Konoha to accompany the burial in an instant. Tuanzang, don't postpone the matter of the heavenly god first. Don't provoke him yet. The main force is concentrated on dealing with the Uchiha clan. After you have enough strength, consider doing something to that guy. And this time, the Tuanzang rarely did not refute it. In front of the common enemy, the two walked together for a long time. Sarutobi even put down his image of Hokage in the sun in front of Danzo. Compared to Danzo, he is now more afraid of Naruto. He ran out by himself and actually fell silently to the last ninja village. The most important thing is that Naruto brought back the red-haired woman, the Whirlpool Phosphorus of the Whirlpool family. Sarutobi thought that he had probably guessed the reason why Naruto made a move, and it was because of this that he was willing to be honest with Danzo openly, because he was afraid that Naruto would know the truth about the Vortex clan. When the Uzumaki clan was destroyed and attacked the Vortex country, the mist-hidden village did not get the sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan, but Konoha mastered the full set of sealing techniques, as well as the pure-blooded Joshinai. This matter can't be investigated at all. Originally thought that the guys of the Vortex clan are almost dead, but Naruto didn't know where to get the news and found another one. Fortunately, this girl didn't know the truth back then. Otherwise Sarutobi's son Chopper couldn't imagine how much damage a terrifying guy who destroyed Kusanagi Ninja Village overnight would cause to Konoha. He remembered the Great Snake Pill who had also destroyed the small ninja village, and now he was worried about the Great Snake Pill all day, and he had driven him out of Konoha for the sake of the Hokage. But fortunately he did not take revenge for his master and apprentice. But Naruto doesn't have this fear. Once he knows the truth about the country of the Whirlpool, he will avenge his former country. Tenjin's plan is imperative, but before that, there is no perfect plan, and he must not strike at Naruto. And Danzo said lightly to Sarutobi, "Give me Uchiha Itachi." Ape Fairy shook his head. Not long after the water stop died, the Uchiha clan is in a situation of turtle shrinkage again. The darkness in the weasel's heart is not enough, let him stay in the dark for a while. Tuanzang glanced at the ape-flying sun, silently got up and left. Fast forward another year and a half, Naruto took all the small powerhouses around Konoha to practice physical arts every day, and at this time, there was an extra red-haired figure in the class. It was the swirling incense that was rescued by Naruto. After burying Kakoha's mother, Naruto returned to Konoha with the incense, and with Naruto's strength at this time, it was naturally stress-free to bring someone to join Konoha. And Naruto continued to return to his old profession as a combat teacher as if he was fine. You trash. If you become a ninja in the future, don't say I'm your teacher. Look at how you look embarrassed now. After only 200 laps, I was bored. Naruto shouted with a look of hatred at this time. It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years. Do you know how I've lived these 2 years? The candidates below rolled their eyes tiredly at this time, and they had no intention of dealing with this snake essence disease. You have been beating us up for the past 2 years. In addition to refining chakra every day, he exercised physical skills, and later added chakra-controlled climbing trees and treading water. Only 12 of the group of people in the 8-gate Dunjia barely learned the first one, and even the genius Sasuke couldn't match the 8-gate Dunjia. Instead, Shaoli, who was pulled by Naruto from his senior class, successfully opened the 4th door. This made Shaoli, who has always been at the end of the crane, feel the inspiration from God. So he practiced his physical arts even harder. Of course, Shaoli was also taken care of by Naruto. After all, Shaoli's strength at this time was deservedly the first among Shao Chang. Even Ninji, Sasuke can't compare with Shaoli, so he gives the most destiny points. Naruto didn't seem to see the mournful eyes of this group of little powerhouses and continued to hate iron and steel. You are the future of Konoha, the flowers of the Fire Nation, the hope of your respective families. If you can't even beat Ebisu when you graduate, how can you still have the face to live in this world? At this time, Ebisu was still a middle shinobi, but he had been arranged by Sarutobi to give his grandson as a full-time teacher. This made Naruto, who had not enjoyed the treatment of the son of Hokage, particularly unhappy, so he simply regarded this guy as the target of the little powerhouses in front of him. By the time they graduated, Ebisu's strength was almost very tolerant. If he could beat him, Naruto would definitely have a lot of ease in harvesting his destiny points. Episode 64. Naruto and I are just ordinary friends. 5 more. Once the plot unfolds, luck will gather on the 12 small strong. Even if he is not as good as the shadow level of the Shao organization in terms of strength, he is definitely no less than a shadow level master in the giving of destiny values, so Naruto still values these future experience monsters. Well, the diamond generation of irrigation. It's just that Naruto still underestimated the difficulty of cultivation of the 8 doors of Dunjia. In his opinion, Kakashi casually copied the physical arts of the first 3 doors. How did it take trouble to even learn the first one in front of this group of waste? No wonder after graduation, Only Xiaoli learned 8 doors of Dunjia in 1 year. At this time, 2 years have passed, and 12 Xiaoqiang have only learned the first subject except Xiaoli, and when I learned it, I felt that the thief chicken was simple. Alas, it's better to brush Uchiha Itachi. Naruto turned to look at Sasuke. Nezuko, where is your brother? Are you free today? Sasuke gritted his teeth and looked at Naruto angrily. I'm not called Nezuko. Nissan is now the captain of the Dark Army right away. Not agreed with you. Over the years, Naruto has found an opportunity to beat Uchiha Itachi every year, and his name is called to exercise his strength. At first, Sasuke looked at the injuries on Itachi's body and thought they were left over from the mission. And in an accident, the brother he admired was seen by the second pillar and was beaten by Naruto, completely knocking over the 3 views of the second pillar. This made Sasuke hate Naruto and add a beating of dear Onasan. Usually Sasuke is also guarding Naruto to prevent this guy from hitting himself. At this time, Uchiha Itachi was respectfully kneeling with Kakashi in the Hokage's office, and at this time, Konoha F4 was sitting in front of them, and Danzo spoke to Uchiha Itachi and Kakashi. As the tasks increase, it is now decided to add a dark squad, and the captain will be Itachi. Uchiha Itachi nodded yes, and Koharu looked at Uchiha Itachi's appearance a little tangled. Such a young Uchiha Itachi made her feel like a waste. She turned to the weasel and asked, I don't object, but you're so young, how old are you? 13 years old. Danzo said to her from the side, there are many people who were younger than him when they became shinobi. Mito Menyen pushed his glasses and said, I became a captain after 2 years in the dark department. Sleeping Koharu also said with a yin and yang strange anger on the side, it's the youngest of the captains of the dark department, right? Ape Fei frowned, although he was used to specifically balance Tuan Zhang when voting, but the IQ of these 2 people really did not dare to compliment. Tuan Zhang also saw that these 2 idiots would only agree with the ape flying sun, so he ignored the 2 and said, the members of the new class are from the dark part of my subordinates. If there is no problem, you can wait to receive them. Uchiha lowered his head and said expressionlessly, I have no objection. Immediately, he and Kakashi withdrew from the office, and Kakashi looked deeply at Uchiha Itachi and said, that means you will be transferred to the dark part of Danzo-sama. The ferret nodded without the slightest fluctuation, probably. Kakashi opened his mouth and finally couldn't bear to remind, don't get caught up in the political struggle above. After saying that, Kakashi walked straight away, but Itachi called out to Kakashi at this time, Captain Kakashi, I have received your care for the past 2 years. Kakashi smiled, hey, you're just changing departments, you're still a ninja in Konoha, and you're not leaving here. Itachi gave Kakashi one last look and smiled, huh? Kakashi waved his hand and turned his head to continue leaving, but the expression on his face had become extremely solemn, and by the time he arrived at the practice range of the 6th class, Yamato had been waiting here for a long time. He's only 13 years old, really make him the captain of the dark department? Kakashi nodded, well, he's not an ordinary ninja after all. Even if you have a chakra eye, becoming a captain at the age of 13 is a breakthrough promotion, right? Don't you forget, there is a more perverted little ghost in the school who is only 8 years old. And at this time, a female voice suddenly appeared from behind. Kakashi-senpai, are you talking about Naruto? The 2 turned their heads, and a purple-haired Yaya Shien appeared behind the 2. What's wrong, Shien? The girl smiled at Kakashi and said, from today, my generation will be transferred to the 6th class. Kakashi looked at Yuyen in surprise. It turns out that you are the supplementary team member. Shien nodded and bowed to Kakashi. Please take more care of Kakashi-senpai. Immediately, Yushien's expression suddenly became a coquettish look and asked, did you guys talk about Naruto-kun just now? Kakashi and Yamato looked at each other and sighed at the same time. This Naruto, really don't you leave some girls for the ninjas of Konoha village? That's right, we're saying that your little lover is a pervert. Yushien's face turned red, and she waved her hand repeatedly. Where is it? Naruto and I are just ordinary friends. Kakashi and Yamato both rolled their eyes wildly at the same time. I don't know how many female ninjas have heard this phrase in the past few years. It's night. Uchiha knelt respectfully in front of Danzo. From today onwards, you will be the captain of the dark department, although you are not a root, but the task is basically assigned by me, and you will not report to the Nikkaivam. Yes, there is a task to carry out next. Don't worry, it's just an ordinary assassination task. Uchiha looked down with the photo in his hand. This was a ninja of the Oil Girl family, and he had long been accustomed to this kind of killing without any reason in the 2 years in the dark department. When he returned to the regimental hiding place with the head, the regimental treasurer took a piece of information and asked the weasel, I received a report that the garrison is strengthening its armament. What exactly does this mean? Tuanzo glanced coldly at Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha's eyes were cold, and he said without the slightest fluctuation, Uchiha. Discontent with the village escalated again. Tuanzo looked at the weasel and nodded. It can't go on like this. The weasel's pupils shrank at this time, and he looked down. Yes, Itachi, who left the roots, returns to the Uchiha area, and he looks at the Uchiha clan Hui, who had been shot by himself because of the death of Shueishuei, and fell into deep thought. And at this time, Sasuke's voice came, "Brother, you are back. I am going to training. Accompany me." And at this time, Naruto's figure appeared on the roof. Itachi's pupils shrank and smiled at Sasuke. "I just finished my mission, I'm too tired, go by yourself." Sasuke ran to Uchiha without noticing, and said dissatisfied, "Why is my brother tired? I just helped you fight that hateful Naruto today." Uchiha Itachi looked at Naruto on the roof and sighed in his heart, "You are lonely." "Yo, it seems that I came to this point very well." Sasuke's face changed, and he turned his head to see Naruto on the roof. "Abominable bastard. What are you doing?" Naruto smiled, "Beat your brother." Sasuke's face darkened. "My brother won't give you a test." However, the voice of the weasel suddenly came from behind him. "Sasuke." Sasuke hurriedly turned around, and suddenly a brain flicked on his forehead. "Forgive me, Sasuke, next time." Naruto shrugged. "It seems that you have fallen out of favor with your brother." Sasuke looked at Naruto angrily when he heard this, but he found that Naruto and his brother had long disappeared. Sasuke's face turned black, and his mouth suddenly muttered. Episode 65, Naruto-sama, Save the Uchiha Clan. In the middle of a forest, the first form of Red Susa stood out of thin air, and opposite him, a huge wooden figure pressed it easily with one hand. Congratulations to the host for successfully defeating the shadow-level powerhouse Uchiha Itachi and obtaining 60,000 destiny points. After several years of Naruto's sparring, the destiny value given by Uchiha Itachi at this time is no less than the destiny value given by defeating Tendo Pain. Of course, this is obviously related to the upcoming Night of Extinction, and the Uchiha Itachi at this time is obviously in a state of gathering luck, so the destiny value given is obviously more than his strength level. Uchiha looked at Naruto breathlessly. "Naruto-kun, I lost." Naruto patted him on the shoulder without care. "Come on, continue to work hard. I am optimistic that you will definitely become stronger. And when you drive Susa to the third stage, there is still a chance to fight with me." The water stop has been opened to the third stage, but unfortunately it was attacked by Tuonzo, and one eye can only open the second stage. Naruto's words reminded Itachi of his Gyo again, and he suddenly knelt in front of Naruto and bowed his head respectfully. "Naruto-sama, please save the Uchiha clan. The village and the Uchiha clan have reached the point of irreconcilability. No matter which side I can't save. I know your strength. As long as you come forward, you will definitely be able to reconcile the relationship between the village and Uchiha." Naruto looked at the low-voiced Uchiha Itachi with a strange expression on his face, but he didn't expect that the plot would develop in a strange direction because of his own reasons. But when he thought that he threatened Konoha F4, Uchiha Itachi was also present, and the Kusanagi village incident was as smart as he naturally guessed who did it. If he had obtained the system, Naruto would naturally refuse Uchiha without hesitation, because he needed Sasuke's eyes to help him open the Eye of Reincarnation. This is the only way to go to the 6th level. And now that Naruto has the Reincarnation Eye, he has already obtained tickets to the 6 levels, and the rest is nothing more than chakra's accumulation. It's really not possible, and you can easily reach the strength of the 6th level by getting all the tailed beasts into your body. What's more, he has not conducted an A-level lottery so far. You must know the A-level prize pool, but it starts from 6 levels. For the Reincarnation Eye that took decades to open, Naruto naturally couldn't look at it. Originally, Naruto's plan was to directly gouge his eyes and replace them when the second pillar defected, and then lurk in the parallel world with the power of the dragon vein, until he opened the Eye of Reincarnation and then returned to his own world, so that no matter how long he spent in the parallel world, the world he was in was only a moment. However, such a perfect plan was ruthlessly broken by the system, and Naruto, who was originally diligent and hardworking, became a salted fish who ate and beat children to death. But even if he doesn't need Nezuko's chakra eye now, it doesn't mean that Naruto will help the Uchiha clan, because Naruto is more inclined to Konoha than the Uchiha clan. Most of the Uchiha clan is full of anger, and basically after knowing that Fugaku has a kaleidoscope, they all want to rely on the power of the human pillar force to seize power in Konoha. On the other hand, on Konoha's side, in addition to the Sarutobi and Shimura clans led by Konoha F4, the rest of the Hyuga clan, the 3 clans of Inuga Butterfly and other ninjas are quite good for themselves in the face of the Watergate couple. If he chose one of the two, Naruto would naturally choose Konoha. After all, once the Uchiha family becomes in power, their situation will definitely not be much better than now. Of course, this is under the premise that Naruto has no strength, so Naruto did not answer Itachi's pleading, but said to Itachi with a strange expression, "Go and meet your father, and when you see him, you will know what my choice is." Itachi looked up at Naruto with a puzzled look. "Father? What to see him for?" With a full of doubts, Uchiha returned to his courtyard with a heavy heart. "You should know that there will be a meeting in the clan in 3 days, right?" On the aisle of the corridor, Uchiha Fugaku stood expressionless and said to Itachi. The ferret subconsciously retorted, "I don't know. After the assembly, you go to Nanga Shrine alone, don't take the subordinates of the Dark Department." Uchiha Itachi, who had originally planned to refuse, suddenly heard Naruto's words in his mind. Good. Uchiha Fugaku looked at the departing Uchiha Itachi in surprise, and the words he had prepared did not come in handy. Then you remember, I'll wait for you. And in the Hokage's office on the other side, Sarutobi Hinata found Kakashi. You should know about Konoha's enchantment system, right? Kakashi nodded. Is that the system that can sense that Yamaji is invading the village? Ape Fei nodded. It seems that someone broke through the enchantment and entered and exited the village several times. The person from the enchantment class on the side said, only a small number of people know about the secret spell that passed through the enchantment in Konoha. It may be that the traitor leaked the news, or there is a sorcerer who has the ability to unlock the enchantment. Sarutobi added, if it is the deterioration of a traitor, it can be investigated by changing the technique. But I prefer to believe that a magician can cross the enchantment. If Naruto would definitely scoff at his words again. If it was really a sorcerer who crossed the enchantment to Konoha, how did you know that someone had entered? To put it bluntly, it was just to back Uchiha's rebellion and show Kakashi, the leader of the Dark Army. Sure enough, the people of the enchantment class handed Kakashi a configuration diagram of the partial enchantment system. There are areas where the frequency of reactions is high. Kakashi looked at the drawing and frowned. Here it is. That's right, around the Uchiha area, if we can. We also want to set up an enchantment system there, but it is their autonomous region, so we can't make a move. Ape Fei said lightly. The action is to be careful not to let people find out that the dark part is investigating. Yes. 3 days later, Uchiha's people once again completed a pre-war mobilization. Itachi and the two Roots, who were in charge of monitoring, watched as the Uchiha clan members left. You guys are here to stand by, Uchiha ordered to the two Roots. But Captain, report to Lord Tuanzang as it is. After speaking, without waiting for the two to stop them, they directly teleported towards the inside of the shrine. And when he came to the shrine, Fugaku was already standing in front of the stone tablet waiting. And when he felt the arrival of Itachi, Fugaku suddenly spoke. Only people with chakra eyes in the clan can read this stele, but only part of it can be read. If you have a kaleidoscope of chakra eyes, you should be able to read more. Uchiha's face changed. His father actually knew his strength? He said expressionlessly, want me to tell you the content? Uchiha Fugaku slowly turned his head. This is not necessary. The scarlet kaleidoscope looked at his proudest son. Uchiha's face changed. Kaleidoscope? Dad has it too? Uchiha Fugaku seemed to be caught in a memory. It was during the Third Shinobi World War. My friend saved me at the cost of his life, and it was with blood and tears that the kaleidoscope was opened. This stone tablet records the path of redemption of the Uchiha family. But even if you have a kaleidoscope chakra eye, you can't read the text behind it. It seems that the kaleidoscope is not the final form, and we can go further. But even if you can only read part of it, as long as you read it, you should be able to understand what kind of wrong environment the Uchiha family is currently in. Uchiha was excited. Then it can't be subverted by force. Uchiha Fugaku directly interrupted Itachi's speech. The upper echelons of the village are afraid of us. That's why they persecuted us. They are afraid of the power of this chakra eye. Indeed, there are even rumors that Uchiha would not manipulate the 9 tails with the Sharingan. But that is the legend of Uchiha Madara, and no one has done that kind of thing since him. I don't even know if I can do it, but despite this, the top is still full of fear of the former undead, and they isolate us because of fear. Since we are afraid, it is up to us to take power. Uchiha Itachi's face was ugly. Father, you plan to become Hokage by force? Uchiha Fugaku said lightly. Because this is the wish of the clan, I can't stop everyone, but in order to avoid the use of force, I have always hidden the fact that I have a kaleidoscope chakra eye. Why? Uchiha Fugaku said proudly. Because the kaleidoscope chakra eye can control the 9 tails. This happened on the night of the extinction. But if it is known, our clan will inevitably do more terrible things. Let me show you. Fugaku's kaleidoscopic chakra eye rotated, instantly pulling Uchiha into the illusion. Several Uchiha clansmen threw the bound Naruto in front of Fugaku and shouted, Patriarch. Let's do it. We've caught the human pillar force. Can the captain do it? Captain, please, show the power of the Uchiha clan. Immediately, Uchiha Fugaku came to kill with a handsome red eye, and the terrifying tailed beast Jade directly swept the entire Konoha from the Nanga shrine. Uchiha withdrew from the illusion in a cold sweat. He finally knew why Naruto had asked him to talk to his father. This TMs, the Uchiha family is looking for death on their own. To provoke that god killer? But Uchiha Fugaku obviously didn't get to the point of Uchiha Itachi's fear, and compared to the village, he was more afraid of Naruto Uzumaki, who had beaten him for 2 years. This is the silent destruction of the existence of a ninja village overnight. What's more, he also has the original Hokage-sama Muduan. To provoke him, it's better to simply commit suicide. 2.9. Naruto's expression 3 days ago clearly said it all. Not killing Uchiha was already giving himself face. At this time, Fuyue was still talking to himself. There are many people in the clan who hold a grudge against the village, and they are forced to do it in a hurry. I think there will be heavy casualties on both sides, but Weasel. As long as you are there, you can control the high level of Konoha while people are not prepared. Who said that small-scale battles are inevitable? But as long as you as the Dark Department help, the bloodless revolution can succeed. Uchiha looked at Fugaku and muttered, bloodless revolution? Fugaku nodded. Itachi, you are my son, please help the family. If it is the Uchiha ferret in the sacred timeline, it will be entangled for a while because of the bloodless revolution, but at this time, all the Uchiha Weasel is thinking about it. The Uchiha family is sending themselves to death. Instead of provoking that terrifying existence to lose his reputation, he took the hat of rebellion and was annihilated. It's better to keep Uchiha's honor and let your Dudu live ignorantly. Uchiha left the shrine numbly, and the two roots looked at the lost Itachi and asked, Captain? Any instructions? Uchiha waved his hand blankly, and when the evening came, he called Konoha F4 overnight to report the work. The Uchiha family decided to start a revolution in Konoha. Episode 66. The night of the extermination, the vanishing Naruto. The entire Konoha fell into a strange atmosphere, and even the usually arrogant Uchiha clan became exceptionally mild. As if it was calm before the storm, Kakashi followed the soon-to-be shinobu Matt Kai to the Uchiha area under the orders of the three generations to pay homage to his friends. Isn't this the area of the Uchiha clan? Matt Kai asked as he frowned at Kakashi, who suddenly asked him for a walk, and he thought he could have another bloody battle. I didn't expect Kakashi to bring him to the Uchiha clan at this juncture. Kakashi snorted, the streets are unique. Matt Kai's eyes lit up when he heard this. It's the first time I've come in. However, the two had just entered Uchiha's range, and all the clansmen were staring at Kakashi and Kai with disgruntled expressions. Kai's eyebrows raised. There is indeed a pancake shop with a different style. Kakashi walked to Obito's former residence a little distracted, and Matt Kai took the pancakes he had just bought and said strangely, what's wrong? Kakashi shook his head, no, it's nothing. Kai shook the pancake in his hand and said with a smile, words 14 said that this pancake is so delicious, I didn't run this trip in vain. Kakashi nodded, there are some specialties that are only available in this place. But he complained in his heart that it was really right to bring Kai Lai, and there was no tension at all in the face of a circle of staking. After probing for a while, Kakashi returned to the Hokage building and reported to the three generations. No matter who the intruder is, the current intelligence is not enough to understand its purpose, and if you want to find out the intruder, you can only use the human sea tactic and deploy a large number of vigilantes. Ape Fairy shook his head, there are not so many people doing this now. With Uchiha's defection imminent, Konoha couldn't have put all his hopes on a double agent, even if Danzo had already contacted the legendary mercenary organization. This is a new organization that has emerged during the year, and as long as money is given, it will take any task. Danzo contacted this organization through the black market, but silently invaded the enchantment of Konoha village at will, which made Sarutobi a little uneasy in his heart. That's why he asked Kakashi to look for clues to find the intruder. He was a little worried about whether his good apprentice had returned. Unfortunately, the other party's whereabouts are too hidden to determine whether it is the legendary member of the Shao organization. Sarutobi waved his hand at Kakashi, since you can't find it, forget it. Stay in Konoha during this time, maybe there is an important mission. Kakashi was stunned, and said that he had retreated directly. After chatting with Danzo, Uchiha became more and more anxious. He thought of the invitation that the masked man had made to him 2 days ago. Even if that person had killed his companion and opened his chakra eyes in pain, he had to consider looking for the help of the suspected legendary Uchiha Madara at this time. Finally, one night, Itachi found Obito who was wandering around the Uchiha clan. Hey, I need you to do me a favor. The corners of Obito's mouth rose under the earth mask. Konoha was always so disgusting, but fortunately they had cultivated a good tool for themselves after all. Obito sneered, yes. Uchiha looked at Obito in surprise. Don't you ask what kind of conditions it is? Obito said expressionlessly. In front of Uchiha, those requests of yours are just trifles. Uchiha was silent for a moment. I'm going to destroy the entire Uchiha clan, even then do you agree to strike? In Itachi's opinion, this suspected Uchiha person may miss the old relationship. It is a pity that in front of him stands Obito, who is even more cold-blooded than himself. Obito agreed without hesitation, yes, but the conditions are still those. I need you to join the Shao organization. Uchiha was silent for a while before turning to Obito and asking, don't you have any other ideas about destroying Uchiha? Obito remembered what Madara had said when he brainwashed him, and stretched out his hand very playfully and said, I once wanted to lead the Uchiha clan to true peace, but unfortunately they abandoned me and chose the village. Since this is the case, they are not my people for a long time. Uchiha Itachi's heart tightened, and he immediately made a judgment on Obito. This guy is an extremely dangerous man. But at this time, he had to rely on this legendary Uchiha Madara because he could not destroy the Konoha garrison while fighting his father's kaleidoscope. Even if his pupil power is far beyond that of ordinary clansmen, there are not a few Shangnin who open the three-hook jade in the Uchiha clan. After the two set a time for the implementation of the plan, they hurriedly ended the meeting. A few days later, one evening at night, all the upper ninja in Konoha heard the chirping of the ninja eagle, and the dark part also received the situation of the first level of alert. Naruto looked at the time-lapse class issued by the school and raised an eyebrow. Is it tonight? He looked at Sasuke, a trace of pity flashed in his eyes. He had jumped out of his originally miserable life, but unfortunately he hadn't. Today's training session is fighting on its own, and the teacher is going to pick up a girl. Naruto disappeared in an instant after speaking, and many students below were already strange. Naruto was flirting with girls everywhere all day in addition to training, but every time he trained in actual combat his strength still made the students unmatched. Xiangyan looked at the disappearing Naruto and clenched his fists. Damn, which fox spirit seduced my brother again? Ino on the side sneered with disdain. What, your brother? Naruto went to my flower shop 2 days ago to buy flowers. He must be interesting to me. Sakura on the side struck coldly. I think he bought flowers for other girls, right? Ino couldn't breathe well at the cold words, but she knew that Sakura was right. Naruto 370 people didn't have any pity for Xiangyu in training, even if they girls couldn't escape his clutches when they were fighting. But don't blame Naruto for pitying Xiangxiu. In fact, he has no feeling for the little lowly who have not yet developed. The current little strong are only 8 years old. Naruto does not have any special proclivities for young and tame and die. Even if they start in the future, it is when they are complete. Now first take down the already ripe Yaeshiin, red beans, they are not fragrant? Anyway, his body is already more mature than when he graduated, and he estimated that when he reached the age of graduation, the degree of physical development would be similar to that of the Fourth War. This is also an additional function that comes with Azura chakra, and it grows fast. It's like 13-year-old Uchiha and a 20-year-old man. Naruto estimated that it would be about the same by then. At that time, all the functions were complete, and it was the moment of true happiness, not the current stage of fish farming. Just as the little strong people were lamenting, Naruto's departure made the dark teacher in charge of monitoring nervous for a while. He hurriedly reported the news to the 3 generations of Hokage. Ape Feiry's heart suddenly appeared, and a bad premonition arose. Why did you leave at this time? He wouldn't be trying to get involved in the affairs of the Uchiha clan, would he? If it was really Naruto's move, he didn't even dare to think about how much Konoha's loss would be this time. Find. Be sure to find him. After finding it, report it to me. No one is vain. Episode 67. Madam, you don't want Sasuke either. It was night. 2 uninvited guests appeared in the Uchiha area. Uchiha Itachi stood on the telephone pole and watched the Uchiha family fall into darkness. A time-space vortex appeared, and the figure with soil slowly appeared in front of Uchiha Itachi. Let's start. Obito spoke to the weasel riding on a telephone pole. Itachi's figure flashed and rushed towards the Uchiha area, and on the other side, Obito disappeared in place like a ghost. And when he appeared again, he had reached the gate of the Konoha garrison station, and the screams sounded from the Uchiha area. Countless unarmed Uchiha people died. Obviously Uchiha who was under the key surveillance of the village, but no one rescued him. In a hidden corner of the Uchiha clan, Naruto's figure appeared silently. Gee, this group of Uchiha people are really crazy. The 9 llamas in Naruto's body gloated and said, back then, Uchiha was it, and so was this Uchiha weasel. So what are you doing here? Naruto stared at the Uchiha Itachi who kept slashing and touched his chin. Kill. Immediately Naruto's figure disappeared in place, and the next moment he had appeared in one of the largest courtyards in the Uchiha area. Fugaku, who was originally ready to die, suddenly opened his eyes, his brows furrowed. Why not his son? He obviously sent the shadow doppelganger to find Uchiha Itachi. Yo. Naruto pushed the door unceremoniously. Is it appropriate for you to abandon your own people directly like this? Fugaku's pupils shrank when he saw the comer, Naruto Uzumaki. Mikoto on the side looked at Naruto in surprise. This is her best friend's son. Because of the sensitive identity of the Uchiha clan, she only took Itachi to look at it from a distance when the orphans were taken into the hospital after the war. Fugaku looked at Naruto in disbelief. How could the Konoha high level send the human pillar force to him at this time? Since the weasel has already started, it means that he stands in the position of the village, and the village must know that he already has a kaleidoscope, and at this point to send the human pillar force to himself? Could it be that his son did not stand in Konoha, but just wanted to take this opportunity to purge the radicals in the clan? Just when Uchiha Fugaku was puzzled in his mind, Naruto continued to speak. Don't think about it. I'm here to let you know why your son did this. Although I don't like you, but I am still very kind. Do you think you can control the 9 tails with your kaleidoscope? You can try it now. Fugaku looked at Naruto with a confused look in his eyes. What do you mean? Naruto smiled, slowly took out the soul-infused slashing knife from his body and said, It means that I came here to help your son relieve a little pain. Don't thank me, I did it voluntarily. Fugaku looked at Naruto in confusion. You want to fight me? Naruto nodded. Of course, to be exact, I'm going to kill you, for my destiny. Fugaku looked at Naruto blankly. Destiny value? What is that thing? Naruto shrugged. It's not important, the important thing is that you can try to block me. Naruto said and rushed directly towards Uchiha Fugaku. Fugaku's face changed, so fast. No way, how could Zhu Li, who was only 8 years old, have such strong strength? Although he heard Sasuke say that Naruto was strong every day, he always thought that it was because Sasuke was too weak. The Uchiha clan, who had been kicked out of the core of Konoha's power, had very little information, and they had no idea about the strength that Naruto had displayed several times. However, Uchiha Fugaku is not completely sitting still. Since the human pillar power has been sent to his hands, it is naturally impossible for him to give up trying, especially now that he is not fighting with his son. He saw a skeleton holding a chakra knife suddenly appear on the outside of his body and collided violently with Naruto's Satsuki. The violent explosion shattered the entire room directly, and the two fell on both sides and looked at each other. Uchiha Fugaku looked at Naruto with a shocked expression. How is it possible? You can block Susanoo's attack with physical skills. Naruto waved his somewhat numb arm and smiled. To be exact, it is using spiritual pressure, but I don't think you will understand either. The rewards drawn by the system are directly applied to Naruto's body, and the power of the different cultivation systems they use will also be converted at any time under the influence of mysterious powers. When using the slashing knife, the energy in the body will be converted into spiritual pressure, and when using the frozen fruit, the ability in the body will be converted into physical strength. When using the reincarnation eye, the energy in the body naturally becomes chakra. There is no situation where it cannot be urged due to different cultivation systems. And the release of spiritual pressure as a kind of soul power, even the kaleidoscope chakra eye did not see a reason. After all, it is the product of two worlds, and it is normal that Uchiha Fugaku can't understand it. At this time, the fight between the two attracted the attention of Uchiha Itachi, who was slaughtering, and he looked at the huge Susa in the direction of his house in amazement, with an ugly expression on his face. 3 generations also sent others here? Didn't you say okay to let yourself solve the problem here? Frightened, Uchiha directly chose to rush towards his home first. And Naruto, who had Kagura's hard eye, naturally sensed Itachi's actions, and he waved the moon and smiled at Fugaku. Your son is here, it seems that he is going to fight quickly. Fugaku snorted coldly. I didn't intend to carry out the plan. Since Konoha humiliated the Uchiha clan so much, then it's no wonder that I let you see the real power of God. Susanoo. The huge Susa rose directly from the ground, and the appearance of wearing armor made Naruto see at a glance that this was already the 3rd stage of Susanoo. It was obvious that Fugaku's strength at this time was far better than Uchiha's, and if he hadn't released water and didn't want to resist, it would be impossible to win Fugaku with Uchiha Itachi. After all, he had already opened the kaleidoscope during the 3 battles, and how could Fugaku, who gave birth to 2 geniuses, Uchiha Itachi and Sasuke, be a waste? Naruto looked at Susanoo and raised his eyebrows, and the slashing moon in his hand stood in front of him and drank lowly. Heavenly Lock Choiwei. The terrifying spirit pressure instantly set off a hurricane, and the Black Death Overlord costume and the black knife Heavenly Lock made Naruto in the night like a ghost. Uchiha Fugaku felt the coercion of his soul by this surge of power, which was a higher level of soul power than Susa's in power. Uchiha Fugaku's face was full of horror, and he finally felt the picture of his cold sweat breaking out when he cast illusions on his son. I also understood why my son chose to stand on Konoha's side. Who would have thought that an 8-year-old child would be so strong? But he didn't intend to sit still. Black flames suddenly flowed on Susa's greatsword. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Amaterasu? Add a soil life? Unexpectedly, what Ertsuzi inherited turned out to be his father's talent. It seems that what is performed on the weasel is just an ordinary illusion. And Naruto was not afraid in the face of this supposedly strongest fire Amaterasu. The black spiritual pressure skyrocketed and directly wrapped the blade of the slashing knife. 9 tails. I accept it. Fugaku gulped and controlled the flame blade to slash towards Naruto. And Naruto rushed up directly to Susa with the slashing moon in his hand. Black flowing fangs. Naruto burst into a roar, and the tiny Satsuki was like an ant against the incomparably huge Susa. The slashing knife, which seemed to be like an ant shaking a tree, suddenly burst out with terrifying black spiritual pressure when it touched Susa's blade, and the infinite destructive power instantly cut off Susa's blade and the entire Susa block. Black runny teeth. The black spirit pressure wrapped the slashing knife, and the moment it slashed the object, it released the greatest destructive power. Ichigo Kurosaki once used this technique against Shiroki Hakuya's White Emperor sword and Ulquiorra. Impossible. Fugaku watched with a shocked look as the terrifying slash instantly swept above his body, and Susa, who was known as the power of God, was instantly torn apart like a paper shell in front of this terrifying force. And at the same time, there was Fugaku's body. He collapsed weakly to the ground, his body already broken in two. So that's it. Fugaku, who fell to the ground, looked at Naruto, who came like death, and muttered to himself, "No wonder Uchiha Itachi chose to stand on the side of the village. Rensley has such terrifying strength. How can the Uchiha clan succeed in a coup?" Fugaku looked at Naruto with some relief. "Do it. It's better to die in your hands than to die in Itachi's hands. He carries too many heavy things." When the words fell, Fugaku was silent. Congratulations to the host for successfully killing the shadow-level powerhouse Uchiha Fugaku and obtaining 1 million destiny points. Naruto looked at Fugaku and rolled his eyes. He was just brainwashed by the old man who Sarutobi beheaded. The family is neurotic. Naruto turned his head to look at Makoto, who was lost in his thought, and suddenly spoke. "Konoha will change in the future, Imam. You don't want to see Uchiha Itachi and Sasuke kill each other, do you?" Uchiha Makoto suddenly laughed. "Even my idea is beaten. If Jiyoshina knew that his son was so careful, he might have crawled out of the grave in anger. She is very strict with the water gate." Naruto scratched his head in embarrassment. Was his reputation already so bad? But in the next second, Makoto Uchiha had already cut off her life with chakra. Naruto looked at Uchiha Makoto and sighed. Sure enough, he was not one of those Wang Hachi-chi, he was the protagonist of A Woman's Wide Clothes. How can a woman who can calmly face her son's butcher's knife be easily fooled by her own words? Naruto, who wanted to incarnate Chao Akio, melancholy dug out Fugaku's kaleidoscope. Fortunately, what he mainly wanted to save this time was not Sasuke's mother. He sensed that the approaching Uchiha Itachi silently flashed in the direction of the garrison, where there was still a wave of destiny waiting for him to harvest. Episode 68. Hero Save Beauty. Obito, who was played bad. On the other side, Uchiha Obito had just finished killing the Konoha garrison. In the case of insufficient intelligence, the kaleidoscope Shinwei is completely an unsolvable existence, coupled with the Baiju brand charging treasure, and the wooden escape between the thousand-hand pillars. In the case of the ineffectiveness of the pupil power suppression illusion, the Konoha garrison is not even as good as ordinary dark ninjas. When Obito walked out of the garrison, there was not even a trace of blood on his body, and the fierce battle just now seemed to have never happened. Suddenly, several shurikens shot towards Obito from the side. However, Obito was like a ghost, and was passed through by the shuriken without any damage. Tsuchiko slowly turned her head. The strong sense of oppression made the petite girl shiver. She had just returned to Uchiha from the task of protecting the daimyo lady, but saw the cruel scene of dead bodies everywhere. Excited, she soared directly to the Sangha Jade Riding Will Eye. It is stronger than the death of the whole clan of the second pillar, and the jade has been closed for 4 years. I don't know how much. Obito looked at the three-hook jade in Uchiha Izumi's eyes and sneered. Oh, the eyes are good. Izumi's face changed, and he hurriedly shot 2 more kunai at Uchiha Obito, but kunai passed through his body without suspense. How is it possible? Izumi took 2 steps back in horror, and she turned and ran in fear, but a chain struck and wrapped her around her. Obito dragged it down, and Izumi was frightened to tears by the scythe raised by Obito 340 direct. Save me, Itachi. Who will save me? Obito smiled. You shout through the throat and no one will come to save you. Break your throat. Suddenly, an abrupt voice sounded in Obito's ears, and Obito's agitated spirit instantly blurred, and the chains in his hand also passed through Izumi's body. Yo, is the interest so good tonight? What about playing bundled play? Izumi looked at the visitor with wide eyes and shouted with a look of surprise, Naruto-sensei. Izumi was 13 years old like Itachi, unlike Itachi, who graduated directly from ninja school after 1 year, while Izumi was 12 years old, and Izumi had just reached the 6th grade when Naruto entered the school as a teacher. Therefore, Naruto can also be regarded as Izumi's actual combat teacher for a while, and Izumi naturally recognized Naruto. And Naruto's popularity in school is no less than Sasuke's. After all, this is the ninja world, and Naruto is very good at dressing himself, plus strong strength. If it weren't for the legend of his Sea King circulating in the school, then Naruto's popularity would definitely be able to crush the 2 pillars easily. After all, the warm man of Buofeng Shuimen is easier to capture the girl's heart than the titanium alloy steel straight man of Erju. It's just that on the night of the 9 tails, because Itachi saved Izumi's life, Izumi didn't have anything to think about. But at this moment, Naruto suddenly appeared like a savior, allowing Izumi to see the light in despair. What is a hero saving beauty? And here it is. Compared to Uchiha Itachi's face paralyzed to her, Naruto's figure at this time quietly squeezed the figure in his heart aside. Obito looked at Naruto with an ugly face. Ranju-li. Yo, isn't this brother Tuzi? Has the organization found all the people? It's good that I'm also one of them. Isn't such a big task one for me? Naruto smiled and shook Pain's 0 ring in his hand, not knowing if it was redone, he hadn't come to the collection since he got this thing. How does this work? Where to brush up on the experience yourself? At this time, Kakuto and Scorpion should have joined the Shao organization a long time ago. And what made Naruto care was that the current big snake pill should also be pulled into the Shao organization. This is for Konoha's dedication to death, and he has become Konoha's #1 loyal fan. When Sarutobi was killed, Naruto would definitely pull him back to Konoha. And this is naturally not the time to think about these things. At this time, Obito is shouting at Naruto with a fury that has been exposed. Who is Obito? I'm Uchiha. Naruto looked at Obito with a strange expression. You can't pretend to be forced in front of pain after returning to the Rain Shinobi village before, right? The face under the soil mask turned dark, and he looked at how this son of his teacher saw how he was beaten. Before he taught Nagato to perfect the 6 ways of pain, he began to seize power in the Rain Ninja village, and after success, he proposed to recruit people first, and the Scorpion who had just defected, the undead ninja Kakuto, and the Uchiha Itachi who he had released a horse last time naturally became the primary attention. Unexpectedly, Pain and Xiaonan both completed their respective tasks easily, only they had no chance to recruit Itachi after more than a year. After returning to Yunin village, he also wanted to put on a rack of Uchiha to pretend, but Nagato did not hesitate to reveal his identity. This made Obito almost die on the spot. Now that the Shao organization has received a mission invitation from Tuan Zeng to destroy the Uchiha clan, Obito took this task without hesitation, and just took this opportunity to continue to recruit Uchiha Weasel, and by the way, he can also get a few pairs of Sharingan for backup. And the Izanagi he used in his battle with Konan was obtained this time to obtain the Sharingan. Originally, he was quite happy to see Uchiha Izumi's chakra eyes. After all, even the clansmen in the Uchiha clan who opened the 3-hook jade were ridiculously few. Who would have thought that a Naruto would pop up and destroy his own good deeds? And he didn't know where the intelligence came from, and he ruthlessly exposed his identity. At this time, Obito was a little embarrassed, and he grabbed the chain and killed Naruto directly. Why are you still anxious? Isn't it just to debunk your identity, and you don't care anyway? Naruto smiled and rushed towards Obito, and the slashing moon in his hand slashed straight towards Obito. A trace of disdain flashed in Obito's eyes. He was absolutely confident in his divine power, and sure enough, Satsuki passed directly through Obito's body without causing the slightest harm to it. And Naruto's body also coincided with Obito. Obito was proud in his heart, except for the reaction speed of the 4th generation that adapted to the Flying Thunder God, who can hit himself in a matter of seconds. With a white charging treasure, he has already fallen into an invincible position. When the two figures are completely separated, their chains can easily and firmly bind them. Since Konoha sent the 9 tails to himself, if he didn't take it, he would be sorry for Rin's sacrifice. I want to create a world where I like Rin. The figures of the two slowly separated, and the corners of Obito's mouth became bigger and bigger, not knowing how wonderful the faces of those guys who underestimated themselves would be after they captured the human pillar force. Izumi shouted at Naruto with an anxious look at this time, "Teacher, be careful." And at the moment when the two separated, Obito had just materialized his body, and Naruto directly came with a backhand grip knife and stabbed him in the back. Obito frowned. What a fast reaction speed. Then he sneered, but these were useless. His own blur can be up to 5 minutes, and the interval between the two blurs is extremely short. As long as there are enough chakras, no one can hurt themselves. So he turned on the blur again, dodging Naruto's new round of attacks, and just as he was about to turn his head and readjust his attack, he found that the tip of Naruto's knife had been on his chest. Seeing this, Obito quickly moved 2 steps to the side, but what he didn't expect was that Naruto also followed him and moved 2 steps to the side at the same time. Ha ha ha, you can't hurt me. Naruto, I'm waiting for the end of 5 minutes. Obito, how did he know the weakness of Kamui? Episode 69. Shocked Obi Earth. A trace of solemnity flashed on Obito's face. If he hadn't left his knife at the end of 5 minutes, then the moment of materialization, the blade would pierce his body. However, as one of the bosses of the ninja world, how could Brother Tuzi be defeated so easily? I saw that he directly went down into the land and came to the art of escape, which is different from the art of beheading in Tujuan's heart. This is a real escape. Naruto's chopping moon did not enter the soil, and Obito took the opportunity to escape from other places to refresh the CD of Kamui. Naruto looked at Obito's Kamui with some gluttony. If it is said that the most practical Sharingan, as a cliff, can rank first, whether it is attack, defense, or running, as a low-end version of Huangquan Hirasaka, as a space, it is not inferior to Kagaya's starting ball space in terms of application. If there is no time and space ninjutsu, if you want to deal with Shinwei trouble, after all, not everyone has the capital of Xiaonan, a local tyrant in the ninja world, and uses 600 billion explosive charms to set off 10 minutes of fireworks. That is, the horns are dead. If he knows that the money he has earned for so many years is not a fraction of Xiaonan, it is estimated that he can cry in the black market of the toilet. Naruto shook his head with some regret. and then put away the slashing moon. Although the moon is strong, it undoubtedly has no effect on Shinwei. After all, the attack power of the slashing moon is not up to Yikai's effect of distorting space, and naturally it cannot attack the body located in the Shinwei space. Even if the 6 spots came to look at Kamui, he could only dry his eyes. In order to regain the Eye of Reincarnation, he still borrowed Kakashi's eyeballs before running to the Kamui space to reclaim the Eye of Reincarnation. If it weren't for the mistaken incident of Our Lady Sakura, there might not be a follow-up to Uchiha Madara Infinite Moon Reading. It can only be said that these eyes can be described as one of the biggest bugs in Shippuden, and there are very few skills that can harm him before Kaguya comes out. Space is king, time is respected, no matter what world it is. Unfortunately, the current Naruto did not draw space-related skills, and the only reincarnation I could create something similar to a teleportation array, but Naruto had not yet comprehended it. Otherwise, he would have taken the initiative to let Obito bring himself into the Shinwei space, and when the time came, leave a teleportation array there, and the Shinwei space would become his own back garden. Obito, who had regained his freedom, narrowed his eyes at Naruto and asked, "Where did you get all this information?" Naruto shrugged and smiled, dreamed. Obito snorted coldly. "It seems that you are not going to answer truthfully?" I saw him sneer and take out a psychic scroll from his arms. "It seems that you still don't know that the human pillar force is just a pet for us Uchiha clan." The face of the 9 tails in Naruto's body suddenly changed. "That's a lot, be careful, that's the psychic scroll that Madara left behind. Even if you can't recall me, it will still limit your movement, and this guy is the guy who released me from your mother's body. His eyes are able to suppress my consciousness." Naruto said calmly in his heart, "Don't worry, even Madara can't shake the gossip seal in my body, and a large part of his suppression of your consciousness relies on the psychic scroll and the dry hand pillar cells contained in his body. He is the reincarnation of an authentic Asura who is stronger than his clone half-body, I don't know how many times. Just because he also wants to suppress himself with the help of the 9 tails? Psychic." Obito bit his finger and pressed on the scroll, and Naruto immediately felt the 9 tails in his body suddenly receive a strong pulling force. Naruto snorted coldly, and the Asura chakra in his body suddenly erupted, and the originally restless seal was immediately as stable as a mountain. Impossible. Obito's eyes widened. How could there be no reaction at all? Even if it is not when the human pillar force produces this kind of seal is weak, forcible psychic should also be affected. And Obito saw that the psychic technique had no effect, and directly glared at his one-eyed Naruto, and a spiritual energy directly rushed into the sealed space in Naruto's body. The figure with soil appeared in front of the door of the water prison. Humph. It is only a human pillar power, and it is also necessary to use this way of imprisonment to control the power of the 9 tails, and in front of my Uchiha spot, the 9 tails is just a wild fox one. The arrogant words directly made the 9 llamas furious, and the terrifying howl accompanied by bad breath blew directly at Obito. "Since you don't have a long memory, let the Knight of the 9 tails give you a memory again. Anyway, the mission of the Uchiha clan is completed, this should be a bonus." Obito sneered and placed his palm on top of the seal. Chakra surged and decided to release the 9 tails again as he did back then. However, this time the seal was obviously different from what he knew, and he cast the spell on the cage according to the technique he had unlocked the seal of the 9 tails last time, but there was no movement. Obito. Solution. Obito shouted again, but the gossip seal that was temporarily combined by 4 generations did not move at all. Impossible. How could it be so solid? Obito looked at the seal in shock, and a pair of huge azure reincarnation eyes suddenly appeared above the space staring at Obito. Has it failed? Not really, Nanny. Obito looked at the huge reincarnation eye composed of spiritual energy in shock. Your spiritual energy can be so strong? Although the reincarnation eye is more inclined to yang, it does not mean that he does not have the slightest power of yin. Seeking Dao Jade is originally composed of yin and yang, and although the attack method of the reincarnation eye is more inclined to yang dun, it is definitely not something that a kaleidoscope can provoke. I originally thought you could unlock the seal, but I didn't expect you to even be able to do this little thing. Get out. Lao Tzu's body is not something you can stay. As soon as Naruto's voice fell, Obito only felt a sharp pain in his mind, as if he had been hit with a sledgehammer. Obito, who had returned to his consciousness, finally looked at Naruto with a shocked expression. The feeling that these eyes gave him was no less than that of Uchiha back then. At this time, he could no longer care about killing Uchiha Izumi, and the Shinwei space opened, and his figure was slowly sucked into the Shinwei space like an illusory. Good. Good, Naruto Uzumaki, huh? I remember you. Sooner or later one day the 9-tailed body in your body will be taken back by my Uchiha spot. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Feeling the swarming dark parts and roots, he gave up the idea of giving him a big squeeze before he left. After all, at this time, the prompt for the system to defeat had arrived, and he picked up the already stunned Uchiha Izumi, and directly disappeared from the place in an instant. And he just left. The fully armed darkened root appeared at the gate of the garrison under the leadership of Sandai and Danzo. Beg. Episode 70. I'll tell you a secret. It's miserable. What the hell happened? The dark department in charge of the Uchiha area looked at the corpses all over the ground in shock, and Sarutobi slowly walked out and said with a fake voice, "Search for survivors." Just now, Uchiha sent Obito away and told the third generation that the mission had been completed. The reason why the three generations chose the Uchiha area with many civilians instead of the Konoha garrison with many chakra eyes was because he knew that there was the only survivor here, Uchiha Sa. Mastering this Uchiha Sasuke means controlling the only Uchiha clan alive, and can also use it to summon the Uchiha Itachi as a whole card at any time. Found a survivor. Yushian looked at the second pillar who fell on the road and reported. Ape Feiry's eyes flashed. Send to the medical class immediately. Kakashi checked around and reported to the three generations, everyone else has been killed. Ape Flying Sun Chopper did not mean to reconfirm at all, he nodded and coldly ordered, recycle all the remains. Listen up. It's all. Don't miss the house. Yes. The dark parts withdrew, and Yamato swallowed his saliva and asked Kakashi, who did this? And at this time, the voice of Danzo from the Konoha garrison came directly, Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Itachi is full of disgust and hatred for his people, so he kills Shisui and takes his eyes. It caused a dispute with Uchiha's compatriots, and eventually caused such a tragedy. Kakashi's face under the mask was solemn, and as the former captain of Uchiha Itachi, he naturally knew that Itachi must have been ordered to do this. He sighed in his heart, I have long told you not to get involved in the struggle of Konoha's high level, even in the dark part, but this task is too cruel. There are naturally more than one understanding people like Kakashi, and many dark parts who have worked with Itachi have guessed some to a greater or lesser extent, but they naturally dare not ask. Stop rubbing, get to work. Sarutobi Hinata interrupted everyone's thinking. Kakashi and the others left in an instant. Originally Sarutobi Hinata's plan. He would take this opportunity to take over the position of Hokage assistant of Danzo and merge the roots into the dark part. But at this time, due to Naruto's relationship, he did not intend to do this time, because now he needs a substitute ghost, or a target. In case Naruto is really completely out of control, someone can carry all the pots for himself. Naruto appeared here, right? Sarutobi asked Tuanzo, who shook his head, I'm not sure if it's Naruto, there is no trace of Muru's or Ice's power, but it's like the sword art of the Iron Country. Ape Fei frowned when he heard this, could it be the person who knows the organization? Are there any other people from Uchiha who survived? At this time, the two roots suddenly came to the two people in an instant. Danzo-sama, Naruto-sama, the number of corpses is not right. Nanny? The two looked at the root of the report in amazement. A few are inexplicably missing. The faces of the two changed, but the secret of the Uchiha family was involved. And then another root who did not open his mouth suddenly said, I saw it all. Sandai and Danzo looked at the root at the same time, and the scarlet kaleidoscope under the mask was particularly dazzling. And I will continue to watch in the future. As long as you dare to attack Sasuke, I will leak all the secrets of the village to the enemy country. After the ferret finished speaking, he directly turned into countless crows and disappeared from the place. Ape Fei looked at Tuanzang with a livid face. Didn't you say you sent his men to assassinate him? Tuanzo didn't know how to answer with a dark face. In his opinion, as long as he was surprised, he would definitely be able to kill the weasel. He had no idea that by the time these two became Itachi's subordinates, the magic of writing chakra had been cast in advance. As soon as the two have killing intent on the weasel, it will be activated immediately. Ape Fei scolded angrily. This next thick bone has pierced our throats, don't you understand? Sarutobi said to Tuanzang with a disappointed face, I have doubts about the training method of your root cultivation talents, and from today onwards, the root is dissolved and merged into the dark department. Tuanzang looked at the ape flying sun chop with a shocked expression, but the day chop, enough, I still retain your position as Hokage assistant, for the sake of human pillar power, this matter is only you can do. Sarutobi said to Tuanzang seriously, where there is light, there must be darkness, Konoha needs you, you are nourishing the big tree of Konoha, don't let me down. Sarutobi didn't give Danzo a chance to argue at all, turned around and left the Uchiha area. Tuanzang looked at the back of the ape flying sun and scolded secretly, bastard thing. TM's unloading grind killing donkey has never seen it so fast. Where did he know that the next action against Naruto, whether successful or not, he had to completely disconnect himself from the hard cultivated roots from Danzo, and the province was liquidated by Naruto in case of failure. The story of Uchiha's extermination spread directly throughout Konoha, and Ertsuzi also changed from a cold little fart to a cold little fart child. At this time, he was standing in front of Naruto with a look of hatred. Teach me to be stronger. Let me do anything. Naruto looked at Sasuke's unlucky look, not knowing whether to pity him, to say that his brother did not like him, to leave him alive, to say that his brother liked him, to destroy his entire clan. He doesn't understand why Urju was moved when he heard that Itachi destroyed his parents for him. Isn't it fragrant to take your whole family to defect directly? And the huge Uchiha will not welcome you to which village? In other words, Konoha does not know to cherish under the power of the 8 flying sun. After all, in his opinion, the interests of the family are more important than the interests of the village. As long as the Sarutobi clan can control Konoha, even if it is to deceive the ancestors. However, Sasuke's becoming stronger was a good thing for Naruto, because he found that after the night of the extermination, Niju's destiny value skyrocketed, and by this time it had risen to 2000 destiny once. You must know that the second pillar at this time is only at the level of ninja even under Naruto's training, and a most garbage shadow level defeat may only be less than 10,000 destiny points, similar to the Kusanagi kind. And Sasuke's one subordinate shinobi is enough to compare with 1/5 of Kusanagi, which is enough to show that since the night of extinction, the luck of the Uchiha clan has all been attributed to the second pillar. And as the strength of the second pillar increases, the destiny value he can provide to Naruto will inevitably increase. Naruto looked at the resolute Urju and scratched his head. The way to improve your strength can't be said to be no, but are you ready? Uchiha Sasuke said with a fierce look, as long as you can kill that man, I can accept it no matter what the cost. Naruto nodded when he heard this. In that case, then I will tell you a secret. Sasuke looked at Naruto blankly. I want to improve my strength. What does it have to do with secrets? Naruto looked at Sasuke's eyes and suddenly showed a sad expression. Actually, the Uchiha clan was killed by the 8 flying sun. Nanny?